So the first thing we're going to talk about, or we're going to practice, is this thing called text effects. And this is the effect that you see when we refresh this page, and you can see we have a nice pop inside of text. And then I'm also going to show you how to create a custom cursor, and not only a single custom cursor, but I'm also going to show you how to create different types of custom cursors, and how we can also trigger different the change of a cursor from one version to the next. As you can see, we have a change from a circle to an arrow. And that, I also want to show you guys how to handle components. What exactly are these components, and how important are they? And I'm going to show you how they can save you plenty of time when you're designing your websites. And the components basically are these sections here. So you see these images and this text. This is a component. So basically it means it's just one component, and we've just modified it so that it can be similar or be different. So this is a similar component to this one. So in other words, this is a single component, this is a single component, this is a single component. What we just needed to do is just change the image and the text. So, and finally, we are gonna try and build intuition on hover effects and transitions. And this is what you see as we move from the cursor from outside to inside. There's a nice transition, and there's a nice zoom effect as we hover on our images. So without further ado, let's get this started. My name is Joe, and this is Dive. Let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna start by building this area here. So we're gonna start by adding text to our hero section. So I had already started designed or created my text, which is this. It's called this text stack. So I'm just gonna hold Control X on my keyboard, or Command X on my keyboard if you're on a Mac. So Control X, and I'll just come and drag it inside this hero section here, and then I'm gonna Control V and paste it inside. So as you can see, immediately we've pasted it inside, it goes directly to the bottom left corner. So this is because when I had created my hero section, I did put out some layout. So layout is just a set of rules, or rather a set of constraints that we set to a certain layer. So in this hero section, this layer, I have some constraints, and let me show you. So on my right hand side, on the layout properties, I have the type is a stack, the direction is from bottom to top to bottom, and the distribution is at the end. So if I put this at the center, you can see it comes at the center, or at the start it comes at the start, but I want it to be at the end, just as in my website. And then also the alignment, I want it to align to the left side. We can put it at the center, you can see how it becomes, but now I want it to be on the left side. And then this gap has no much difference because we don't have any other any other frame inside. We don't have any other layer inside this parent layer, so we can just get rid of this gap. Okay, but now when we come now to the padding, I have a padding of 30 all around my hero section. And then just for slightly, so that I can be able to raise this text and create some space between the text and the bottom, I added a padding of 80. Okay, yeah, so that's it. So we've already created our first page, and this is how it looks like. So the next step, we're going to create the second section, which is going to hold our video, and it's going to be our video section. So come to your hero section, and I want to duplicate this by holding Control D on your keyboard, or Command D on your keyboard, and then go to the and then you can delete this text stack, and then you can rename this to section 2. And then now what we want, we're gonna start by drawing a frame inside this section 2. So hold F on your keyboard and draw a frame. And then notice that when you draw this frame, it aligns to the left and distributes it to the end, as you can see on when we click this section 2 on the layout property, we can see its end and on the left. This is because it's taking our initial property from the hero section. So we just need to set it to default. So to set a property to default, you can just come here and click minus. You can click this minus, and then you can now click it again. And now, as you can see, it has set it to its default property settings. I'm just gonna get rid of this fill color, and then now this frame, I'm gonna call it the carousel. Okay, so I'm going to explain to you why we call it a carousel, but because it's going to be something like a carousel, not the exact carousel element that is pre-built in Framer. Well, this is kind of carousel that we want to build ourselves. Okay, so we're gonna set it to the width to fill the space available, and then we're gonna make sure that the height is set to 700 fixed height. Okay, and then inside this carousel again, we're gonna add a layout to it. Okay, just click this plus button on the layout property. So then I'm gonna again hold F on my keyboard and just draw a frame inside it. And then this frame, I'm gonna make sure that the height is set to fill the available space. And then I'm also going to make sure that the width is set to fill. Now I want you to pay close attention to this part. So inside the carousel, we have a frame that we've just drawn, and I'm gonna get rid of the fill color. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold Ctrl D on my keyboard and duplicate this frame that we've just drawn. I'm gonna duplicate it once and twice. Now, if we can see, or if I can add some color to it, we have like three, we have like 3 frames that are stacked horizontally. So we're gonna come to the middle frame here, and this is where we're going to have our video. So I'm gonna call this our video mask. Okay, so inside this is where we're gonna have the video. So inside the video mask, I'm gonna hold F on my keyboard again, and I'm gonna draw this frame inside it. And then I'm gonna go back to the parent layer, which is this video mask, and I'm gonna click layout and add a layout to it. So then I'm gonna go back to my frame, and I'm gonna name this my video container. So this is where we're gonna place in our video, and then I'm just gonna get rid of the fill. Then I'm going to come to the top left part of our workspace. You can see insert. So you can search video here, and you're going to see a video pre-built video element, and then you're just gonna drag it inside this video container. And then now we want to pin the video to the edges of the video container. So I'm gonna come here and click 0 at the top part, pin it to the top at 0, pin it to the right again at 0, pin it to the bottom again at 0, and then pin it to the left at 0. So now we are pinning the video to this video container. So this video container is where now we're gonna work out some magic. So I'm gonna want this video container to fill also the available space. As you can see now, it runs from here to here, and then I'm just gonna remain with my fixed width of the video container. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to add a video width, or the video container should have a width of 1900 pixels. So as you can see, it stretches all the way from here all the way to these parts and these parts. So now we have our video container, and inside the video container we have the video element. So we can now go back to our stacks again, the frame here, and get rid of the colors because now we don't really need them. But we still need them because I want to show you guys something else. So before you get rid of the colors, click the video mask and I want you to come to the width and I want you to put it 2FR, which means that as you can see the video mask, the width of the video mask is now 2 times the width of these 2 frames. Okay, and this is now where we're gonna define our frames. So what are these frames and what are they for? So this is going to be our left cursor trigger, meaning if we have our cursor on this part, it's gonna change to an arrow, and then if we come to the other one, it's going to be a right cursor trigger. Okay, so now we have 3 stacks distributed horizontally. We have the left cursor trigger, we have the video mask where we're gonna have our video, and then we're gonna have our right cursor trigger. The next step, I want you to come to the carousel. So come to this carousel, which is underneath the section 2. And I want you to click Ctrl Alt K on your keyboard, or you can right click and create component. Just gonna call it carousel. Okay, so inside this component we have a bunch the same stacks. So now this is there, we can get rid of the fill, so we can just get rid of any fill that is in our frames. So make sure there are no fill, so just do a quick checkup. So yeah, so every frame here has no fill. So now we come now to the video mask and we come all the way to our video. On the right side, I want you to click under video component, click upload. I want to choose a file and we're gonna upload any video. So I'm gonna upload a video on my computer. I'm gonna upload it. And as you can see, we've uploaded the video inside this. But what you can see is that the video doesn't take the whole frame. This is because we need to go to the video mask and we need to set overflow to visible, so that anything that is overflowing this video mask, and this is definitely overflowing the video mask because as you can see the video container has 1900 pixels. So it is overflowing the video mask, which is quite small in width. So come to the video mask and on the overflow panel, on the overflow property, click overflow visible. Nice. So as you can see now, we can see every part of our video. Okay, so now what we're gonna do now is we're gonna now add the trigger points, or we're gonna add the custom cursor on each of these 3 layers. So come to the left cursor trigger and I want you to come here to the cursor. So click this plus button on your right side of the property panel, and you're gonna see here custom cursor. So you're gonna click custom cursor, and I want you to, if you click here, nothing happens as you can see, but we can create a variable from it. So click here plus custom, create a variable, and then we're gonna call this the left cursor. Okay, and then we're gonna do the same for the right trigger. Again, do the same thing, come to the cursor and add a cursor here, custom cursor, and then we're gonna click here plus custom, and then we're gonna create a variable. So this is now another variable. We're gonna call it the right cursor. And then now we're gonna come to the video mask, which is here, and we're gonna do the same again. We're gonna create a custom cursor, click custom, create variable, and then we're gonna call this the center cursor. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, we're gonna go back home, and as you can see now we have this carousel as a component. You can see it's a carousel and it's a component. So we have the left cursor here, and you have the right, and you have the center cursor. So click here on the add button, and you're gonna carve this property, this tab here, So you're going to click here component and you want to click arrow. So this arrow is the component that I had created, which is this one. Okay, so make sure to set it to the component that you're gonna build. So perhaps I could have showed you guys how I built this, but it's just a bunch of, this is just a component. If you can see, it's just a component, and inside the component I have the hero, or I have the favicon, and you can just find them inside here when you come here to social icons, and you can drag it inside. So I just dragged the hero inside this here and set it to an arrow. Okay, so let's go back again. So that's how I created my arrow. So let's go back again to our carousel and continue setting the arrow. So here we have the arrow here, and then inside this arrow we have two variables, or sorry, two variants, and my left arrow is the one on variant 1. So then I'm gonna click it variant 1, and then I'm gonna X, and then I'm gonna again come to the right cursor here. I'm gonna click again. I'm going to go back to the arrow, and I'm gonna click variant 2. So I'm doing variant 2 here because if you see, let me show you, if you see this arrow here, I have two variants. I have this variant and I have this other variant. This is the left one and this is the right one. So what I want is basically when I'm on the right cursor, we go to the variant 2, okay? And when I'm on the left cursor, we go to variant 1. So let's now go to the center cursor. So in this center cursor, we're gonna click here to click here again, center cursor, and my component is the big button, and then I'm gonna click here replace. Okay, and then I'm just gonna exit. Okay, so now when we view what we have on our screen, as you can see, our cursor changes to view project. This is exactly what we wanted. Nice. So if we hover on the left part, nothing changes, and then if we hover on the right, it changes to what we want it to be. So there has to be a problem here. So let's just go back and check what's the problem. So let's click again on a carousel, and if we go to the left cursor trigger, we can tweak it a bit by adding a Z index to it. So the Z index basically brings the layer above, so we want it to be slightly above the other layers. So change the Z index, and if we go back to and view our website, we can see that this is still working well, and also now this is working. Okay, so again, also the right part is working. So this is a good way to enhance accessibility. So where we can click here and we can go to the other video, we can click here and view the project, we can click here and go to the left video. So let's play around now with our cursor. So click carousel, double click it, and then now we're going to come now to our component. Now this is the easy part. So just click here, add variant. So we want another variant and we want it to have a different video. So come here to the video, and on the right part, I want you to delete this video by clicking X, and I want you to choose a file again. I'm gonna pick another video from my image from my computer, and I'm gonna click open, and then I'm gonna upload it. I'm gonna do the same for another variant. So now, as you can see, we have a couple of 5 variants, and the variants, each variant has a different video. Okay, so this is now where it gets a bit interesting, and I want you to be keen on this part. Okay, so remember, what we want is when we get to our website, we want to be able to click on the right side, and we want to switch from one video to the next. So what we can simply do is we can add these triggers. We know that when I'm in this section, when I click here, I go to the last one, because you see this is the first one. So we want to, when I click here, this shape here, I come to the variant 5. So I'm just gonna click here this sort of like a zap icon, and I'm gonna drag all the way to my variant 5 and interaction on click. Okay, and then I'm gonna come here still on the primary variant on this right cursor trigger, and then I'm gonna drag it to variant 2. So what this means is that when we click this part, we go to variant 2. But now when we click this left part, we go all the way to variant 5. So this is like a loop. And this is the first one, this is the second one, that one. And of course, this is the last one. So when we're on the first one, we wanna get to the fifth one, we're gonna click the left part. So we're gonna do the same for each of these left and right faces. So click this one, and when we are in variant 2 and we want to go back, which one do we go to? We go to variant 1 on click. And then when we are in variant 2 and we want to go to the right, we go to this one on click. So now we have a bunch of interactions. So when we view our website, see what we have here. So when I come to my website, click full screen, as you can see, this is an arrow. So when I click this, you can see we're moving from one video to the next, as you can see. So we can move from one video to the next. So now let's proceed and build the other section, which is this part where we can see there are images on the left and the right side. And when we hover, there's a nice zoom out effect. And also there's a nice effect on the text which comes up. And this also applies to this other image. So we want to build this. So what we're going to do now in Framer, go back to Framer, and we have this section 2 that we've just built. So I want you to click it, and I want you to hold Ctrl D on your keyboard, and we're going to duplicate it. I want now to we should rename this to section 3. And then what we're going to do now, we're going to get rid of the carousel because we don't need it anymore. So now we have this section 3. And then now what we want now, we want to include a frame inside it. So hold F on your keyboard and draw a frame inside it. So this is going to be our cards container, because this is where we're gonna place the 2 images inside, and we can call them cards for now. So I just want this to have a width of fill, and then I'm going to have the cards container to have a height of viewport. So let's use viewport height. So as you can see, this viewport height goes above and beyond the section 3. You can see there's a blue line here, and then the card is just above and beyond. So what we just need to do, go back to section 3 and set the height from 700 pixels to fit content, so that you can fit the cards container. Okay, set it to fit content. Now it fits in very well. Go back to the card and remove the fill because we do not need it. And then now inside this card is now the container is where we're gonna place in the 2 cards. Okay, so on the cards container, I want us to add a layout to it. So on the right side properties, so click this plus button here, and then now the card container has a layout, and its direction is from left to right. So if we now draw a frame inside here, and then we draw another one, a different one, sorry, so we can draw another one here, you can see that it kind of stacks together. Okay, this is what we want. Okay, but now what we want also is we want, as in this website, we can see that the image is aligned to the top. Okay, you can see here. So let's go back to our cards container and align these 2 frames to the top. So come here to layout, under the align properties, click this left icon here. So we have aligned to the top. Now we wanna add a bit of other layout to the card. So we want it to have a whole round padding of 330 pixels. So come back to your layout settings in your cards container, and click here and just add 30 as our padding. Then we also want to have a nice gapping in between the cards, so we can come here and into the cards container and put a padding of like 60. Now as you can see, we have something coming up. So now let's go back to our frames, or the child of the child, so which is these two frames, and I want us to have a width offset to fill, and also I want this to have a width offset to fill. So now we have kinda of a nice wireframe of what we want to build or our design. This is normally a good step when designing websites, because you get to have a visual overview of how your contents are going to be positioned, and it's also very easy, which can give you a good fast win. So now what we want now is we want this frame to have now the contents of this card. Okay, we want it to have this text here, and we want it to have the image. So let's go to the frame and let's call this our card. Okay, so we want this card, we can get rid of the fill. We want it to have the text, so we can just click T on our keyboard and just click here and add any form of text. So let's say fast supercar. This is just a placeholder, and then now it is inside this card container, and then we're also gonna draw another frame here inside it, which is going to be our image. Okay, so now what we want to change this card to a layout again. So on the right side, click this plus button here. Now we have a nice card there, and then now we want this card to this image to cover all this space, just as in our website. As you can see, the image covers the whole card space. So we can do that by just setting the image to fill, so it will fill the available space, and also the height, it will fill the available space. Now we come back to our text box or our text, and we want to add a layer to it, so we can be able to add more. We want this to be absolutely positioned, so just for a good presentation, and it's gonna help us as we continue. Want to change this first supercar to we want to add a layer to it, so hold Control Alt Enter. Now as you can see, it has a stack, so let's call this our text container. So we've wrapped the text inside a container, and then we want this text to have absolutely positioned. Okay, so we're just gonna drag it, we're gonna give it like 50 on the top, and perhaps 30 on the right, and we're gonna pin it to the top and the right. And then we're just gonna adjust the width of our text container and set it to fit content, or even better, what we want is we want it to have a relative width. So we want it to have like 70% of the card, so it will always be 70% of the card. So, and then we want to adjust the layout a bit, so we want it to be distributed from the start so that it comes to the left part. And then now we can increase the size a bit, just a bit like that, and then we can go back to our positioning and just drag it like somewhere there. Nice. So now we have our text there, and we have our image, so we can get rid of the blue color and install our image here. So on the right side, I'm going to click choose image, and I'm gonna download the image from my computer. So I'm just gonna come and grab any image here, and I click it and click it. So as you can see, now we have our image there. Yeah, so now we've just built our first card. So what we want now is we want to add the effects, and also we want to remember we want it to also be a component. So let's just ignore this frame for now, and let's go to the card, and I want you to create a component out of it. So let's create a component. So the importance of component is once we finish designing or setting up variants and animations, we can just duplicate this card and it will occur in every other card. So like this one, you can see this one has a similar effects, even this one has a similar thing. So it means these are all components in a sense that they hold the same properties and fundamentals. The only difference is the text and the image and the sizing. So let's turn this card into a component. Hold Ctrl Alt K on your keyboard. We're gonna call it our card. Now we have our component here. So we want to add the effect on hover so that we can see a change in the image. So remember, as we hover, we have this thing zooming in or out. Okay, so let's click our image here, and we want to set it. We want to actually set the image to absolutely positioned. Sorry. Okay, so once we set it to absolute, I want you to come and pin the image to the bottom, pin it to the right, pin it to the top, and pin it to the left. Okay, notice also our text container, we can no longer see it because it means it's beneath this image. So we need to come to the text container and add a z index to it so we can be able to see it, as you can see. So now what we want to add the hover effect. So when you click your variant and you go to the bottom part, you can see the hover. So we can click this plus and add hover effect. So what we want now, as when we hover, we want this to remain to its original position, just as it is right now. But now when we see the image, when we see the default size of the image, it should be like scaled in. Okay, so let's go down to the variant, the main variant, and let's click our main image, which is this one, our default state. And let's come here to, on the right side, on the properties of transform, I want you to click, you're just gonna see here something called, let me just go back a bit. So you're gonna see transforms, and I want you to click this plus button here and click this property called scale. So we want to scale the image so that in its normal default state, it looks scaled. Okay, so I'm gonna scale it like this, like to 1.4 or 1.3 is okay. And then notice it also scales my hover. Okay, but we're gonna change that. So let's go now back to the variant hover, go to the image, and we're just gonna remove the scale. Okay, so we no longer need this transform here. So now what we can do and we can see is when we hover inside, there's a nice transformation. So when I'm hovering, there's a nice zoom effect. Okay, so probably a slight change in the transitions, but we can change that later. Again, now let's see what we can do on the text. So remember, as we also hover, the text comes from the bottom and rises up. So let's design that. So come here to your text and come to the text container, and I want you to drag it down a bit so we can give it like 100 on top. So 100. This means it's now slightly down, and also make sure it is pinned to the left and the top. Okay, make sure it's pinned to the left, and we can put this at 30. Okay, so and then what we're gonna do, we're gonna get rid of this we're gonna reduce the opacity so we don't see it on default. So come to the opacity here under the styles and kill the opacity, and then come now to the hover part and go to the text container, and we're gonna return the opacity, and then we're gonna drag it up. We're gonna set it like 40 to the top. So notice here it's down, here it's up a bit. Okay, so now when we view what we've created, you can see that when I hover here, it comes up like that. You can see it just comes and appears up, just like as in a website. So congratulations, you've just built an amazing effect in Framer in very simple steps. So now here's the interesting part. Now here is where we want to introduce things like components, and so that we can be able to adjust it very easily in the future or as we continue. So what we want to do now, I'm gonna go to the image and I'm gonna make this image, I'm gonna add a variable to it. So click on the right on this plus fill button, and we're gonna create a variable, and I'm gonna call it image. I'm just gonna name it image, and click outside. So now we have a variable image, and then we're gonna do the same for the text. Okay, so come to the text here, so click the text, come to the text here, and content, also create a variable for the plain text. So you might wonder, what are these things, what are these plus? So this is just things, or let's call them variables, things that we can change when we are on the home page instead of changing every single time. I'm going to show you how we're going to use this. So just click here again, title is okay, and just click outside. And then the last thing we can add a variable to is also the color of this text. So again, come to the color, and I'm gonna create a variable, and I'm gonna call it the color. Okay, so they're called variables because we can change them. You know, something variable is something that varies, so it means we can change it when we want to. It varies. So of course, as you can see, even in our website, the images vary. This is a different image from this image. We can see also the color of the text varies. This is white, and you can see some text is this is also white. You can see some text is black, like this one. You see, this is a black text. Yeah, so basically that's why we're using variables. So let's go back to the homepage now, and if we now view our website, you can see we have something. So when I scroll down, as you can see, when I hover here, there's a nice effect. Nice. So now what you just need to do is, now here is where we work out the magic. We're gonna delete this frame because we don't need it, and then we're just gonna click here the card and duplicate it. So now as you can see, now we have two cards. So what we're gonna do now, we can just adjust the sizing a bit, and then we can change the image and the text. So the reason why we created variables is so that when we come here to the card components, we can easily change them just by clicking a button here. Instead of going directly back again and changing it here, we can just change it here. So click here image and choose another image, and then this time I'm gonna take this image, and then I'm gonna upload it, and then nice, you can see, and then I'm just gonna change the text to, let's call it super stylish color. Okay, so now we have this called super stylish color, and color should also be black. So now if I view my website, as you can see, we have this first supercar, and then we have this super stylish color, which has this nice effect to it. Okay, so that's it. That's how you do it. So how do you now build the other sections? You can just click this section again, duplicate it. This is how now it's become so easy for us to build this website. We can just build it by duplicating, and just changing the images, changing the text, and changing the sizing. So now what's remaining, now we just need to add this nice cursor. Notice this changes from a normal cursor to a round cursor. So let's do that. So come here to the card, and I think the good thing is, again, if we use components, once we change the cursor here, it will reflect it in all the other components. Okay, so let's click this again. Let's come here to our variant, and we're gonna click here cursor on the right properties panel. Under the cursor, click this plus button, and then click this custom cursor, and then we're just gonna click this plus custom here to create a variable. Make sure you create a variable, and then we're gonna call this the small cursor. Gonna call this the small cursor, and then we have a variable here. So sorry, it looks like we have two. I think I need to remove this one. So we have the small cursor here. So now when we go back to homepage, we can see we have another variable here under the cart component. So we can just click here and add a component, and the component that we want to use as our cursor will be this one, the one that we just had created before, which is called, we named it our round cursor. So come back to this component, click here, and we're gonna create choose the component that we want to use, which is this round cursor, and then we're gonna set the variant to 1 because this round cursor has a black and a white state, which is represented as variant 1 and variant 2 respectively. And then we can add a nice transition here with 450. So now when we view our website, we can see that we have this nice transition inside. Okay, you can see that we have this nice transition, although the cursor kind of takes more time to go into it. So we need to change the transition of the cursor to be a little bit more faster. So this is now where you get to, we can even put time so that it can be faster. This is now where you just get to practice and get to feel and build that intuition on how does it feel to, you know, transition from this to this other cursor. Does it feel natural? Does it feel good? So if once you get a feel of it, we can now see that it's now very well. So because now you see we're transitioning from the normal cursor to the other cursor, it needs to feel more natural and faster. So I think this is good enough. So this is also good. So we also need to change the cursor here. So let's go now to this component and add the round cursor again. If I go back here now again, as you can see, we have this nice white and this is black. So this is how you can play with variants very easily, just a few clicks. Once you've made the components, it becomes super easy to, you know, build something. Okay, so I want us, when we click here, we can go to where this video is playing. So what I had done, I had created a bunch of other pages here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to this second section, click this carousel, and then inside this video mask, I'm going to add a link. So when I click this link, I'm going to link it to page 1, and then new tab, new. And then again, when I come here to this one, I'm going to click this video mask and I'm going to link it to page should be page 2. I'm guessing this. And I click here as my website. Now, as you can see, we can just click this and we can see the whole page here. Okay. Again, now if we want to go back, I had created this circle here. So when I click it, I go back. So that's it. That's how we can create this nice effect in Framer, you know, without writing any code. But I think one last thing that I've forgotten to show you guys is the text effect on this. So come and click here, this text here, and then I want you to come to the right side where we can see effects. And as you can see, we have text, appear, hover, press, loop, drag. So click here, text. And as you can see, we have a nice preview here. So we can click here, trigger to be on appear, because this is the first page that we're gonna see when we log in into the website. We can set the preset to blur, and then we want it to have a word to effect. So every word to have the appear effect, and then we can leave this to scale 1, blur 10. This is good. We don't want to change much of this, and then we can just add a slight delay so that when we open the website, there's a slight delay and then it comes. Okay, so again, this is good, and then we can do the same for here, add the effect, text effect, and then we can use the same thing like word, and then we can also add a slight delay. So the other one we had used 0.6, this one we can use 1.6, so that we can see this effect appearing fast, and then we can see this last one. So now when we view the website, as you can see, we have this nice, again, as you can see, we have this nice transition, but it's quite fast. So let's go again and adjust the enter effect. The transition is quite fast. So come here to physics again. We're gonna make it to 50. Again, we're gonna make this to 65. So we want this to be a little bit smoother, so it doesn't be as fast. And so to 50, 65, we're gonna do the same here for here to 50, and then this one is going to be 65. Just want this curve to be a little bit softer. So now when we view the website, again, as you can see, we have this nice transition inside, which to me it's pretty good. Okay, so that's much of it. Again, congratulations on building this website with me. If you wish to test and and look at it yourself, there's a remix in the description, and you can also see the live website with a link in the description. Thank you for watching this video. If you wish to learn more about Framer, subscribe to this channel, and I will see you in the next video.